deserve to be able to afford their lives. Because I think that folks in Wyoming who are being screwed over, having their SNAP benefits taken away, ought to have some people who are fighting for them. Because I actually believe that we ought to live in a country where we don't see each other as enemies, but we see each other as neighbors. So that's why I'm here. And I'm also here because for too long, the Democratic Party has treated states like Wyoming like they don't exist. And Wyoming exists. And you have a Democratic Party that knows you exist. And that's fighting for you and is going to show up for you, not just with words, but with deeds. So I want to thank you. Now, I do want to start by making this point that often shocks folks when they see a black kid from North Philly with locks. I'm going to say this. I'm not a Democrat because I hate Republicans. Hear me on this. I need you to hear me on this. I'm not a Democrat because I hate Republicans. When I got registered to vote, if you know Temple University, you know exactly where I'm from. You ever heard of it? And so right at Broad and Cecil B. Moore, when somebody shoved a clipboard in front of my face and told me to register to vote either for the Hillary campaign or the Obama campaign, I can't remember. The only thing I knew about our president is that he had a cameo in Home Alone 2, okay? That's all I knew about this. So I'm not going to give him credit for making me a Democrat. I'm a Democrat because I look over my life and see a party of people that did not know a kid named Malcolm Kenyatta was going to be born, but fought for me.
Amen.
I grew up in a working poor family in Philly. My dad was trained as a social worker right at that university, Temple, that I mentioned. He was really lucky that one day a cute little thing named Kelly, my mama strolled on in, okay? 9 months later, here I go. And my parents were fantastic people. They were the best parents in the world, second only to your parents, Wes. You were fantastic. But my parents did not see in each other what I saw in them. They freaking hated each other. I know, it's hard for you to hear, but I was there. It was tough. They did not like you. And so what that meant for me, brass tacks, is that my parents separated when I was pretty young. I got my first job at 12 years old, washing dishes at a little restaurant. And what that job did was give me a little bit of wiggle room. And there are families all across Laramie and all across Wyoming who know what I mean about needing wiggle room.
Yeah.
Who know exactly what it meant for my mom to work that extra shift instead of doing homework with the kids. A decision that no parent should have to make.
Right. Right.
Folks who know what I mean about needing access to CHIP. That was how I had health care, or Medicaid and Medicare. Folks who need food stamps right now the way that I need them.
Yeah.
And while our president has cut food stamps, even though money exists, he's having a great Gatsby party at one of his resorts. While people are figuring out their next meal.
Right.
And so when I think about what it means for me to be a Democrat in this moment, I think about a party that built the social safety net in this country, and we ought to act like we did. We ought to act like we did. And so, for me, I think in this moment, we lost an election. I was there. I remember. It wasn't great. But I think it is critical for us to remember why we are in this party and why we are in this work. And it's not just to give a middle finger to the other guy. It's not just to stop the Republicans. It's to make life better for our family. And now it is our time to answer the question about what we're going to do next. What are we going to do next as a party to make people's lives better? And to chart a course forward where every single one of us has the chance to get ahead. Not as like a talking point, but for real.
Right.
Where every single family can look their kid in the eyes and know that you're not lying to them when you say you're going to have it a little bit better than I do. But none of that is possible with a government that is corrupt and focused solely on filling their pockets at the expense of everything else.
Right.
So there is a reason. There is a reason and a strategy behind trying to get us to hate each other. Because if they can get us to hate each other, then we don't talk to each other.
Right.
If they can get us to say, well, you're white, that person's black, you have nothing in common, then we don't recognize that there are families, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, who are struggling in this moment, and we all have a president who does not give a damn.
Right. Right.
There are folks who live in rural communities and in urban communities, and what we all share is we have a president that does not care about what is happening in our lives. He doesn't care.
Amen.
What he cares about is himself. And so this is a simple question that we need to ask folks around Wyoming and around this country. Is your life better than it was a year ago?
No.
The president is certainly richer than he was a year ago. But I don't think it's better for ranchers in Wyoming.
No.
I don't think it's better for people who know what it means to work the second and third shift.
Right.
I don't think it's better for our small business owners. I don't think it's better for our seniors and retirees. I don't think it's better for people who are in the insurance market who are getting letters today all across Wyoming saying their premiums are going to go up by $1,000 or more. I don't think it's better for them. And so I refuse to let this guy convince us that we have to be enemies with each other. Convince us that if you're from a rural community, you have nothing in common with somebody from a city. But I will tell you this. In Pennsylvania, I'd like to remind folks, Pennsylvania is 70% rural. Large portions of our Commonwealth are remote. And all across Pennsylvania, I would say to folks in Philadelphia, if you don't have access to internet because you can't afford it, or you don't have access because we haven't built out the infrastructure, either way, your kid is doing homework in the parking lot of Walmart.
Right.
If you don't have a good family sustaining job in one of our suburban communities, or you don't have it in one of our remote communities, either way, we're figuring out every single month how to just provide the basics for the people who matter in your life. And so in this moment, we have to figure out how to build coalitions that are big enough to meet the challenges that are in front of us. And I will tell you, there is nothing more American than what we are doing right now. Coming together, first of all, listen to some good music. But also coming together as neighbors to decide what we want our country and communities to look like. There is nothing more American than that. And so let me tell you what I believe and what the Democratic Party believes. I believe that if you, in this country, you should be able to work one good, family-sustaining job. Not 2 or 3 hours. That's what Democrats do. And you know what? We believe that while you're working that one good family-sustaining job, that we should be cutting your taxes, not the taxes of millionaires and billionaires. That's what I believe. I believe that that one family-sustaining job should afford you the ability to buy a home in a community that is safe. I think that out of the front door of that home that you could afford, you ought to be able to have every single one of our kids go to a good, fully funded public school. And I believe that you should not be worried about your kid getting shot on the way to school or getting shot in one of the classrooms. I believe that in a country this wealthy and this great, you should be able to retire with dignity and decency and not be 70, 80 trying to apply to be a greeter at Walmart. But you should be able to enjoy the golden years of your life with your family and the people who matter best to you. And what I also think, I have this crazy idea, that people in government work for you, not the other way around. Not the other way around. I believe that in America, we don't bow to a king, but presidents, senators, congressmen work for us. We sign their checks, they don't sign ours. And so in this moment, which feels so dark, which feels so out of control, it is easy to buy into the myth that there is just nothing we can do. It is easy to buy into the old strategy of the past, that, well, you know what, if this state hasn't voted for a Democrat, then why the hell should Democrats show up? And you know what, if this community always voted for the Democrats, then why the hell should we show up? And we should just spend all of our 43 just fend for themselves. I believe we can do better than that. I think we can do better than that. And here's one thing I want to put in your mind's eye. In the 2024 election, there were 20,000 races that went uncontested all across the country. 20,000 races. And I want you to just think about this and go with me for a second. We do not have one big national election where we all get together in a convention center somewhere. We have 3,143 counties across this country. And we have 3,143 county-run elections across this country. That's how we do it. And so in this moment, when I mentioned those 20,000 races, of the 20,000, 80% of those 20,000 races were uncontested by Republicans. Only 20% were contested by Democrats. So the problem with that is that all across this country, the only people talking about Democrats are Republicans. And I promise you they don't have good stuff to say. So if we don't have Democrats who are running for mayor in every single community across this country, then we don't have Democrats on the ground showing people what our vision is for public safety. And what fills the void is somebody running with Heritage Foundation talking points saying what Democrats believe. If we don't have Democrats all across this country running for school board, then what you have is a bunch of Moms for Liberty folks saying what Democrats believe about public education instead of us telling people what we believe about public education. If we don't have people running for county commissioner and for sheriff and for city council and for state rep and for state senate communicating what our vision is, then people believe whatever the two folks arguing on cable TV say we are. And so the way we are going to win tough elections is not by believing we're going to flip Wyoming overnight. I didn't come here with too much hope here. But I do believe that there are school board races that we have left on the table that we could flip. What I do believe is that there are mayoral races right now all across Wyoming where we ought to have a candidate running talking about what Democrats want to do to make people's lives better. What I do believe is that we can be out on doors having conversations, not about what folks are saying on CNN, but about what is happening in Wyoming and what local leaders are going to do to make life better for our neighbors. We can do that, and we ought to do it. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for engaging, as I said, the most American exercise possible. Getting together with our neighbors. And I want to say this because, as I mentioned, it's dark, it's dim, it's bleak. But the story of America does not end with a chapter about a Dollar Tree dictator. I promise you it does not. I promise you it does not. Americans have always taken on challenges head on and come out of it stronger because it is who we are. When women in this country did not have the right to vote, all across this nation, suffragettes were tying themselves to the fence of the White House that he tore down, by the way. Engaging in hunger strikes, getting arrested because they understood this country could never be what it was supposed to if over half of the people couldn't participate. When folks didn't have the right to vote, black folks, white folks, young people, old people got together all across this country because they understood this country could never be great if we shut people out because of who they are and what they look like and where they're from. And in this moment, where we can't just talk about the Constitution and hug the flag, but we have to actually stand up for freedom. We have to actually stand up for the Constitution. We have to actually stand up for the rule of law. We have to actually stand up against the corrupt establishment that wants to give all of the earnings of this country to 400 billionaires while the rest of us fight over the scraps. We have some work to do. But I want to remind you of something I say all the time. You know we have elections all across this country, big important elections coming up in a couple of days. Elections are never about candidates. Elections are about you. They are about your family. They are about your neighborhood. They are about what you believe you deserve. And so, Wyoming, I would ask you very simply to just do this activity with me, bear with me, do this with me is the last thing I'm going to say. I want you to think about just for a second the people or person that you love best in the world. Put them in your mind's eye, literally. Somebody for whom you would run out of this door if they called you and said anything was happening. Does that person that you're thinking about, do they deserve to live in a community that's safe? Do you think they deserve that?
Yes.
Are you willing to fight for that?
Yes.
Does that person you're thinking about, do they deserve that one good family-sustaining job that I mentioned? Not 2 and 3 and 4 jobs. Do they deserve that?
Yes.
Are you willing to fight for that?
Yeah.
Does that person I just mentioned, do they deserve to be respected and treated with dignity, no matter what they look like, how much money they make, how they worship or choose not to, or wherever they're from? Do they deserve that?
Yes.
Are you willing to fight for that, Wyoming? Are you willing to fight for that, Wyoming? If you are, we will together make life better for working people and working families, and I promise you, you will have a partner in this new Democratic Party every single step of the way. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for your leadership. To your incredible Vice Chair, my dear friend, I want to thank you so much for your leadership.